Alyssa's POV. Hey babe, I'm really sorry, but I'm not going to make it today. Something's come up and I'm struggling for time. I let out a deep exhale, my fingers gripping the phone as I listened to my fiance, Derek Charlton, spin some excuse to me. Okay, Derek, I said, my tone disappointed. But we've had this appointment booked a week now. Is our premarital checkup more important than what you've got going on there? Sorry, Alyssa, Derek said. We can surely reschedule it. He paused. Listen, I have to go. See you later. The call quickly ended, and as I pushed my phone back into my pocket, I approached the reception desk of the Dark Heart Hospital. Alyssa Richardson, I said to the older woman sitting at the computer. I had a premarital checkup booked, but my partner can't make it. I paused, starting to feel the irritation build inside me. Is there any way we can do mine today and book Derek in for another time? The older woman peered up at me over her glasses. I'm sorry, but all appointments have been canceled today. She tapped on her keyboard. But I can reschedule it for tomorrow. Canceled? I asked, feeling the frustration build. Why wasn't I told? And all appointments? We have an unscheduled visit from the Alpha King, Travis Darlington, the woman said. My apologies, but you will have to come back tomorrow. But why is Travis Darlington? I asked out loud. I was met with silence as the woman peered at me before pulling her window closed. Well, that was incredibly rude. My entire day has been messed up now. What a wasted journey. I pondered as I looked around. The waiting room had emptied after the news of the hospital being closed for the day now. Intrigue filled me. I had heard of Travis Darlington, the king of the werewolves. Derek had told me he was an arrogant and ruthless leader, but I had never seen him with my own eyes. I was interested in getting a look at him to see what the fuss was about. I left the hospital in a hurry, and as I exited the large doors, I already saw the press gathering and an entourage of well-built men. Wow, this guy is a big deal, I said out loud. I joined a crowd, all hoping to get a look as I did. I wormed between their bodies, pushing my way to the front. There was no way I was letting this moment pass me by. As a human, being introduced to the world of werewolves was both thrilling and frightening enough. I was getting used to their way of life, but getting a glimpse of the king now was definitely more of the thrilling side. There he is, a woman behind me cried, and I followed the small crowd's eyeline as a black car pulled up outside the Dark Heart Hospital, its windows tinted to hide the passenger inside. My heart began to race with anticipation as I watched the door open, and out came the figure of Travis Darlington. Oh my God, I said out loud again. Travis stood tall and muscular. The tight-fitted shape of his dark gray tee didn't leave much to the imagination. As Travis walked from the car, a gang of men followed, pushing cameras out of the king's face, and I watched Travis rake his hands through his dark hair. Passing the crowd I was in, Travis made eye contact with me, and a half-smirk curved his lips. His dark eyes studied me, and I felt myself melt. My heart pounded in my ears. I felt a connection between us, but I had to keep focused on the true events happening here. Shaking my head, I quickly left the crowd to return home. As I walked down the street, I pulled out my phone to call my best human friend, Jenna Fisher. Alyssa! Jenna beamed as she answered the call. I didn't expect to hear from you. How's it going? I wanted to say hello and catch up, I replied warmly. It's been a while. Yeah, Jenna laughed. Since you left me for that Derek guy. She paused. How's things going there? Well, I paused. Derek proposed to me and we're not hanging around to get married. The wedding is soon. Preparations are well underway and… Already? So soon? Jenna asked, and I knew her tone was filled with disappointment. You've only just started seeing him, and you're already planning your marriage? I sighed, knowing this would be most humans' reactions. Most of them didn't know of the werewolf traditions and how they found their fated mates. Not as I did anyway. Jenna, I'm so happy with Derek. He's perfect for me, and he treats me like a queen. I know this is what I want. I paused. We've been together 6 months now, and I know we're fated to be together. Are you really sure about this, Allie? Jenna asked, her tone serious. I'm only thinking about you. This is a huge step, and you need to think about it before. I've thought about it, I replied, feeling frustrated that my best friend couldn't be happy for me. And it feels right. Derek wants me to move to the Dark Kingdom with him, to be part of his dark heart pack, and I know it's my destiny. Derek is my destiny. Jenna paused. Well, I can't say I know much about this werewolf stuff. I try not to get mixed up with them. But if you're happy and you sound it, then I am happy for you. She paused. I wish you all the best in your new life. Will I get an invite to the wedding? She asked cheekily. I laughed. Of course you will, Jenna. I can't imagine you not being by my side. I paused as I smiled to myself. Thanks for understanding and being happy, because I really am so in love with Derek Charlton. Plus, I would really love you to meet a good friend I made here in the Dark Kingdom. I beamed as I thought about my two best friends meeting one another. Her name is Haley, an amazing she-wolf. She had really taken me under her wing and helped me adapt to life here. You would absolutely love her. Oh, Haley sounds great. Jenna beamed. I'm so happy you're not alone there, and you're making friends. Arriving home at last, I hung up the call with Jenna and entered our home. Tossing my bag to the side, I pulled off my jacket and hung it up. It was then my attention was piqued by the sounds coming from upstairs. A strange creaking, steady in its pace, began to sound faster and faster. I climbed the stairs, ever so cautiously. Intruders in the house, trying to get into places they shouldn't be snooping? I knew the sound was coming from my and Derek's bedroom, and as I approached closer, the sound stopped. Listening at the door, I caught two familiar voices in conversation. Derek and the other voice I instantly recognized as Haley. I never thought this was a moment I would have to witness, my fiance, the absolute love of my life, cheating on me with one of my best friends, Alyssa's POV. I struggled to contain my tears, trying not to make a sound as I sobbed. I wanted to listen to the conversation between the two of them. Was this why Derek couldn't make our appointment, to have sex with Haley in our bed? What have I done to deserve this? Derek and my best friend. Why haven't I seen this? Was I far too smitten to see the signs of what was going on around me? That was incredible, as always. Haley said with a seductive tone, No man has ever made me come as you do. Derek laughed. Carry on like that way, Haley, and you'll give me an ego. Seriously, though, Haley replied, I've never felt a connection like ours. Do you feel it too? Our bodies are so entwined when we make love, it's intense. She paused with a giggle. I think your ego is big enough anyway. I don't want to enhance that. You certainly enhance something on me, baby. Derek responded with a low growl. You're making me want to make love to you again. Were they doing this to rub it in my face? My hands shook through my anger. It seemed as though they both knew I was standing outside the door and just needed to brag about their sexual exploits I hadn't known about. So when are you going to tell Alyssa about us? Haley asked. I think it's a little unfair us sneaking behind her back for so long now. She released a gentle sigh. As much as this hurts, she's my very best friend, and it pains me to deceive her like this. Very best friend? My teeth gritted as my jaw clenched, aching with the pressure. If I was such a good friend to Haley Green, she wouldn't think twice about having sex with my husband. Friends don't hurt one another. I felt the bile rise in my throat. How long have they been going behind my back? My stomach knotted in pain from this information. They had both deceived me so cruelly. I wanted to barge in there and confront them, but I waited to listen more to their conversation. Soon, Derek replied. I don't want to hurt Alyssa, especially when I tell her that the marriage is all a facade. As soon as we're married, I will have access to all of my father's wealth and my truly deserved alpha status. He paused. We need to bide our time on this. He sighed, and I heard the soft sound of lips kissing. You know you're the love of my life, despite the mate bond with Alyssa. I don't want her. I want you. I know, Haley sighed. I love you so much, and I can't bear to think of you marrying Alyssa. I want us to be together. I know we have to wait and reap the rewards of our patience afterwards. I do too, my darling, Derek said in reply. But once the wedding is official, Alyssa and I can begin the process of making a child. Once my heir is born, then Alyssa will have fulfilled her use to me. We will have her sent back to the human world where we never have to bother with her again. He paused. You and I can raise the child as our own little family. My throat began to ache with the pain of my sadness. I struggled to contain the sounds of my tears, and as I pressed my hand to my mouth, I managed to keep silent. All this time I thought Derek wanted the marriage to happen quickly, because he loved me, because he wanted to be mine forever. But it turns out I was being taken for a fool, and it's all part of his disgusting plan to knock me up and toss me away. Haley sighed in disgust. The very idea of you having to make a child with Alyssa makes me so, she paused. Jealous, she grunted. But I can wait. You're worth it. The future sounds perfect, Alpha and Luna with a bouncing baby to nurture and care for. Once the difficult part is over, we can rid ourselves of Alyssa and be together, Haley. I love you more than anything, Derek said gently, before pressing his lips to hers as the sound of delicate kisses filtered into my ears again. You are the woman I truly want to be with. We will have our own wedding, a proper one. I lifted my hands to my face, covering my eyes as the tears streamed harder. My fingers trembled with shock, upset, and anger. I was devastated. All this time, Derek had been manipulating me into making me think he wanted to make me happy, making me believe I was the love of his life, and he wanted to give me everything. I wasn't going to let them get away with this, not for 1 second. Fumbling in my pocket, I pulled out my phone and turned the camera mode on. I will be sure to get all the evidence I need on this. I may be a human, but I'm not an idiot. I know the laws of werewolf mating, how a bond must not be broken under any circumstance. As I gathered myself, I took deep breaths, trying to stop my entire body from shaking. I opened the door quickly and pointed the camera at the pair on the bed. Derek and Haley both lay naked with each other, their lips locked in a passionate kiss as his fingers stroked across her bare breast. I was quick enough to take the photo that neither Derek or Haley noticed I had taken the candid picture of them both. It seemed they were too locked into each other to realize, so I left it at that. I had the evidence to prove their disloyalty. Running down the stairs, I powered out of the front door, my hand grasping onto my phone as though my life depended on keeping it safe. Tears streamed down my face as the emotion had built up and been ready for release. My tears blurred my vision, and my legs had already started to ache from the speed I was running, but the adrenaline kept me going. I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't letting Derek and Haley get away with this deceit. Travis's POV. What have I got to look forward to today? I appeared to ask myself out loud as I accessed my emails. Staring blankly at the laptop screen, I knew there would be something in there to bring down my day. As hard as I worked as the king, I could never please everyone, no matter how hard I tried. There it was, that dreaded email. My eyes searched over the words of the email I perused. Another complaint, it seemed, an anonymous complaint. I spoke to the wolf who resided in my mind. Sometimes I would really love to know who was writing these, I grunted. Clayton chuckled in return. So we can mess with them? Humph, I said in reply. The thought had crossed my mind. Of course not, Clay. I mean, so I know who is unhappy with my ruling. Feedback is important. What's the issue this time? Clayton asked curiously. His gray fur shook as he stood to his feet. Someone isn't pleased with the lack of medical care for low-status omegas at the Dark Heart Hospital. I paused. Which I think is a fair complaint, but it pisses me off. That hospital is falling to pieces. Want me to eat them? Clayton asked with a gentle growl simmering in his throat. No, Clayton, maybe don't think with your stomach all the time, I said with a sigh. I've noticed the lack of care at this hospital for a while now, and it's really not good enough. I felt the anger burn within me. Everyone deserves the same treatment, regardless of their status within a pack. But I grow tired of the Dark Heart Pack making such demands when it is them who are failing to contribute financially. They want more, but with no money to spend, I can't provide it. What will you do? Clayton asked. If not consume the ones who whine and moan. A small smirk curved on my lips. I'm going to pay the hospital a visit. I said, find out what's going on here. I've noticed a number of residences appear in the area, too luxurious for the Dark Heart Pack to fund with their lack of financial support. It seems as though they are pouring their money into the wrong areas. Yes, Clayton said in return. Be firm. You are the king, after all. I am, I said as I leaned back into my chair. And you know I would never abuse my power. Raking my hand through my slick black hair, my fingers ran down across my jaw as I stroked my stubbled chin. I just need to find out how the Dark Heart Pack are suffering financially, to ensure they're giving the people what they really need. Clayton responded, "And if not, we eat them." Calling my car, I decided to make the hospital trip today. It was early in the day that I could pre-warn the staff I was coming. I made the call to close the hospital for my arrival and made sure the patients were informed to reschedule any appointments. Sitting in the back of the car, the plush leather cushioning me, I looked out of the window. The streets bustled with people, and the ones who spotted the luxurious car stared in awe as they wondered who would be sitting in the back. With the blacked-out windows, it would be impossible to tell. Even though I was the king of the alphas, I didn't flaunt my power. I remained a private person and didn't like to advertise myself with appearances, which is why the press were sniffing around me as soon as they had a clue as to where I may be. "Oh, here we go?" I spoke to Clayton. "The press are here already. How did they find out so soon?" "People gossip, Travis," Clayton responded with a chuckle. "And you're hot stuff, you know. I just want to get out of the car and into that hospital. I don't want to have my photo taken or give any press interviews." I could feel my frustration rise inside me now. "You don't fancy being the centerfold in next month's Teen Heartthrob magazine?" Clayton said with a laugh. "I feel like you're more of a treat for the lonely housewives, though." Sometimes I hated that Clayton never took me seriously. I exited the car swiftly as a member of my entourage opened it. Sweeping my hand through my hair, I began to walk straight to the front door of the hospital. I ignored the call of my name from the press. The screaming of a group of women ahead made me cringe. I was just doing my job, and I couldn't escape all the attention. Passing the group of women, I couldn't help but feel drawn to part of the crowd. It was then I removed my gaze fixed ahead of me and caught the eyes of a stunning woman, her long dark hair cascading over her shoulders, while her green eyes sparkled as our eyes met. I felt myself become weak to her. She seemed different from the rest of those women. They were flailing about and screaming my name, making me feel like a piece of meat they wanted to get their teeth into. But this woman, she was calm and seemed to study me with intrigue. "Well, would you look at that?" Clayton said with a cheeky tone to his voice. "What a pretty little thing she is." "I noticed," I said with a gentle exhale, "but I'm not here to pick up women. I need to focus on my job today." It wasn't my intention to draw any attention to myself, but I found myself giving this raven-haired beauty a little smile. Our eyes stayed connected as I passed, and part of me wanted to slow down my pace so I could enjoy her a little longer. "She's blushing," Clayton remarked. "Her cute, freckled, rosy cheeks are illuminating. She really is something, isn't she?" I replied to Clayton, my heart beginning to race in my chest. "I can't. This is the wrong time." Closing down my feelings, I passed the crowd and fixed my gaze ahead again, focusing on the entrance to the Dark Heart Hospital. I had a job to do, and I wasn't letting anything or anyone distract me. Alyssa's POV. I decided to head to the Dark Kingdom's library, knowing they keep all kinds of information and studies related to werewolf law. I was still rusty in this knowledge, but I knew someone would help me. As I dashed down the road, I looked at my phone. Several missed calls from Derek and a few texts from Haley. The guilt seemed to be on their mind now, so it should be. "Good luck trying to talk to me, assholes," I said under my breath as I pushed my phone back into my pocket. "I'm going to drag you both through the mud." As I entered the large revolving door of the library, my mouth fell agape at the vast sight before me. The Dark Kingdom Library was somewhere I hadn't had a chance to explore before. It was a stunning building from the outside, with its Victorian-looking design, but the interior was something else. The walls were filled with shelves of books from floor to the high ceiling. As I kept looking up, I noticed the stained glass dome in the center of the ceiling, allowing natural light to illuminate the readers. "Can I help?" My attention was drawn to the echoing voice who welcomed me, and as my eyes turned to her, I noticed the way she looked at me. Her blonde hair was pulled back into an updo style, while she peered over her thin glasses at me as they sat on the end of her nose. She was one of those people who had already decided she was better than me. I had gotten used to that around here. It sometimes felt as though humans were not fully accepted by some people at the Dark Kingdom, Even though the werewolves and humans had somewhat integrated, there were a handful of werewolves who couldn't stand us in the community. Yes. I smiled warmly as I approached the desk. I'm looking for the section of books I would find woven law, particularly the bonding and marriage. The blonde in her elder years peered at me, her eyes narrowing. Do you have a membership? No, I replied coyly, feeling ashamed I hadn't taken any time to explore the library yet. But I'm happy to open an account. I just really need to find a specific book desperately. Humph, the blonde said as she tapped at her laptop. Very well. Go browse at your leisure, and if you find something you like, I will get you registered. She paused. A lot of time wasters in here, you know. Come in here to read the books, but never want to take them away and become a member. I miss the old days when the library was respected. I'm sure, I laughed nervously, my eyes already catching the section of books I needed. Thanks for your time. I dashed off into the part of the building where the books lived and started to skim over the texts. The decadent scent of old leather-bound books filled my nose as I browsed the collection. It reminded me of my childhood, after keeping a big collection of stories myself. This was a small comfort to me. It wasn't long before I found one which took my interest and opened it. I pulled my notebook from my bag, along with my pen, and took a quick look at the woman on the desk to make sure she hadn't noticed my actions. I don't want to be one of those disrespectful whippersnappers she despises so much, I laughed lowly to myself. It was fortunate, and in my favor, that I had the ability to read text extra quickly. I could get through a novel in no amount of time, and my note-taking skills were on par. Flicking through the pages of this legal scripture that piqued my interest, I skimmed the words rapidly, turning the pages faster until I found the information which interested me the most. Marriages, I said in a whisper as I read the words. Werewolf to werewolf, I said. That did not interest me. I carried on reading werewolf and human legally binding constraints. This is it, I said louder than I intended. My words were met with a shh from another staff member who was rearranging a collection of books nearby. I hadn't even noticed them at first. Their brown-toned outfit blended in with the books. I nodded with an apologetic smile and continued. Well, it certainly seems I'm covered here. I paused, starting to hurriedly jot down some notes. A werewolf must not show any disloyalty to their human mate. They are expected to remain unconditional to their mate, no matter what. No advantage must be taken against the human mate in any circumstance. I felt the excitement rise inside me. It seemed I had the right to expose Derek and his disgusting behavior. I had left my entire life to be with him, to move to the Dark Kingdom and become part of the community. I had worked so hard to adjust my life for Derek, and this is how he repays me. Now for the important part, I said lowly once more. How do I go about exposing them? I read further into the document, finding the information I needed. I can request to see the Alpha King, and as long as I have solid proof of Derek's infidelity, then I can seek forced confirmation of the mated bond and seek compensation. I blinked. I just want Derek to be punished correctly, that's all. I wanted to separate myself from Derek now, to go back to my old life and leave the Dark Kingdom for good. Looking up at the clock, I realized it had been an hour nice since the Alpha King had arrived at the hospital. If I left now, hopefully I could catch him and show him the photo I had taken of my mate in the arms of another woman. Scribbling down the last few notes, I closed my book and pushed it back into the bag before sliding the library book back into its place on the shelf. I started to leave hastily toward the door of the library, knowing I was on the clock. I'm sure the king wouldn't be there for much longer. Did you find nothing of interest? The blonde asked as I dashed away. I ignored her, not having time for any of her judgment right now. You're all the same, thinking you're owed everything for free in this world. Her voice disappeared as I left the library, my mind focused on meeting with King Travis now, Alyssa's POV. I ran back toward the hospital, my chest aching in pain as I pushed myself to the limit to get there before Travis left. I saw the building in the distance, getting closer the more I ran, and as I approached the front door, I saw the Alpha King and his entourage lingering around the foyer of the hospital. Pushing my way through the doors, I knew I needed to catch Travis' attention. Hey! I called as I waved. This was all I could muster, and stopping before the Alpha King, I doubled myself over as I felt winded from the run. I gasped, gaining my breathing as best as I could. Is there a problem? One of the well-built security guys stepped between me and the king. I gasped as I looked the big guy in the eyes, now blocking my view of the king. I need to talk to the king. The big guy raised his eyebrow. Human, he snorted. Only a human would be this pathetic after a bit of exercise. He paused. What do you want to talk to the king for? I just need half an hour of his time, that's all, I said, not wishing to air my laundry for everyone to hear in this instance. Humph, the man responded. I'm afraid King Travis is. Oh, hush up, Frankie, Travis said. Standing beside the much larger tank of a man, he shooed him aside. I'll listen to what this girl has to say. I felt a surge of exhilaration hit me. My chance was coming, but I also felt myself becoming distracted at how insanely attractive Travis was. My exhilaration disappeared and was replaced by nerves. Travis kept his eyes on me, waiting for me to talk. Well, he asked with a slight tilt of his head. Are you going to talk, or just stand there with your mouth wide open? Shit, I muttered under my breath. Can we talk outside? I'd rather be somewhere more private. Staff were beginning to congregate around us, looking to delve into my issues, it seemed, so I wasn't comfortable with an audience. I followed the Alpha King as he took his long strides out the front door, waving at his entourage as a gesture to leave us be. I followed closely behind, my mind a whirl as I tried to work out what I was going to say to him. Is this private enough? Travis asked, standing beside the safety of a large bush. This is fine, I said, taking a deep breath. I've recently discovered that my bonded mate has been sleeping with another woman behind my back. I just said it, let it all out to use the time with Travis as well as I could. I fumbled around my bag, pulling out the photo on my phone. Look, I pushed the phone toward the king's face. My mate Derek with this girl, their hands all over each other. I felt the pain ache in my chest as I relived the memories and shame of this moment. I see, Travis said, taking another look at the photo. You're a human? Mated with a werewolf? I felt his cold judgment. Yes, I said as I took a deep breath. And I know for a fact, by law, if a werewolf deceives a human mate, they are entitled to the bond being broken and compensation. For a human, you're quite wise to our laws and constraints, Travis said, studying me closely. Show me your mated mark. I'm sorry? I asked in shock. Show you my what? Your mark, Travis said with a sigh. The mark a wolf gives their mate once they've mated, to seal the bond. He paused, folding his arms over his chest. Show me the mark. I panicked. Was I meant to have a mark? I thought that was just a bond between werewolf and werewolf, not with a human. Perhaps I was mistaken, but Derek had never bitten me and left me marked. I don't have one, I said truthfully. My mate, he never marked me as his own. I thought that. Have you not been intimate with your mate? The king asked, interrupting my words, his eyes narrowing as he studied me. Many times, I said, feeling my cheeks flush with embarrassment. Did this man want my sexual history as well? But your mate never marked you while you made love? Travis asked sternly. That seems odd. No, I panicked again. Derek never marked me. He never told me that we had to do that. Travis laughed lowly. You know, I don't like to assume humans are so predictably trashy, he paused. But I'm starting to think you may be all the same. Coming to the Dark Kingdom and abusing our trust. We opened our arms to you, and this is how you treat us? I'm sorry, I felt my throat tighten with shock. I don't know what you're trying to say, but that's very narrow-minded of you. A growl simmered in Travis's throat, and I watched his eyes flash gold in anger. You come here and lie to me. He became closer to me, his face near mine as I felt his breath on me. Making up stories, trying to scam me? It takes some guts for you to do that. I'm not scamming you, I said, panic in my voice. It was now I noticed a crowd of people had congregated nearby to watch the show. Shame fell over me. I hated being the center of attention, and now I wanted the ground to swallow me whole. I'm telling the truth. Derek is my bonded mate, and he's been cheating on me, deceiving me. You are a worthless human, Travis growled again, and I noticed his jaw clench with his fury. You don't deserve to be accepted and walk among us wolves. Go back to your rotten life and away from your mate. He's better off without you. I felt my eyes fill with tears. I felt humiliated as people around us hovered and grew closer. Their whispers and titters drowned out my senses. "Please, my king," I said weakly. "I need you to—" "I am not your king," Travis snapped. "I don't mingle with the likes of you. You're a fraud." I watched as Travis gestured to his entourage before turning on his heel to leave. I couldn't let this happen. I had to convince the king I had every right to appeal my case with my bonded mate. "Wait," I said, launching forward. I grabbed Travis's arm. Travis's POV. "You're really damn persistent, aren't you?" I asked the woman, my eyes on her hand, which gripped my arm to a halt. "Grabbing your king, that's an offense, you know." I watched as she released her grip and took a step backwards. "I'm sorry," she said immediately. "I don't know what came over me. I'm just desperate for help." "What's your name?" I asked, brushing down the arm of my leather jacket. "Before I ask you for coffee, I should at least know that." "Alyssa," she said, excitement in her voice. "Alyssa Richardson." "Well, Alyssa," I paused as I watched all manner of expressions in this girl's eyes. I found myself becoming slightly hypnotized by the shimmering green of her orbs. "I'll give you the time it takes to drink a latte to convince me to help you." "Wow!" Alyssa exclaimed as her eyes lit up. "Are you serious?" She seemed to revert back to an excited child who had been told she was going for ice cream. "Yeah." I laughed. "I know a great place down the street. It is cozy and relaxing." "Lead the way." Alyssa grinned as she walked by my side. "Will these guys be coming too?" I knew she referred to my warrior protectors. "No," I shook my head. "They're going to wait in the car." "My king," one said, stepping forward. "I'm afraid that isn't." A growl simmered in my throat as I took an angry glance at him. I said, "They're going to wait in the car." "Yes, king," the other warrior said, shoving his colleague away from us. "Persistent, huh?" Alyssa said, her eyes on the two warrior men as she watched them leave our side. "But fiercely loyal." I nodded. "Correct, it's their duty to protect me. Sometimes they can be a little overbearing." I paused and flashed a smile at Alyssa. "I don't want them hanging about while I take a pretty girl for coffee." I watched as Alyssa's cheeks flushed with embarrassment from my words. It was endearingly cute, her reaction to me. "Here we are," I said, stopping in front of the coffee house. I pulled at the door and offered Alyssa to go first. "I've not been here before. It's really homely," she said in awe, her eyes studying the interior. "Find a table," I said. "I'll order the drinks." I could tell all eyes were on me now, the same everywhere I went. It was like I was a celebrity, royalty walking amongst the werewolves. It wasn't long until I was sitting with Alyssa. We both hugged our hot drinks, gazing into one another's eyes as we found a way to start the conversation. "So, Alyssa said, breaking the silence. "I guess I should start from the beginning." She paused to take a breath. "I met Derek in my world, the human world, I mean." She laughed, and I could tell the nerves shake as she did. "We fell in love, and I moved to the Dark Kingdom to be with him." "Okay," I said, narrowing my eyes slightly, but I kept an open mind. Derek was keen to marry quickly, as he wanted to inherit the alpha status of the Dark Heart Pack, along with his father's riches. "That old chestnut," I said with a long sigh. "It sounds like the villain of a story." Alyssa nodded with a smile. "I suppose it does." She beamed at me, and I was beginning to understand why Derek brought her into our world. She was stunning. "The rest is history, really," she said. "As I told you, Derek cheated on me with my best friend here, and I have the photos of them together." "How do you know so much about our customs, Alyssa?" I asked. Usually when humans integrate into the Dark Kingdom, they don't make too much effort to learn about our ways, especially the laws down to the finest details. "Well," Alyssa began, her cheeks flushing pink again, "I like to study, mostly online, but I went to the library and found a book or two on werewolf mates, marriage and adultery." I chuckled. "I'm actually impressed, Alyssa." "Why impressed?" Clayton asked in my mind. "Because you've never met a human you like?" He chuckled. "Not this much," I responded to my wolf. "Alyssa is switched on and interested in the werewolf culture and laws." I paused. "The Dark Heart have become a burden to the kingdom with their neglect. I think I can use Alyssa to my advantage and get some insider knowledge." "Eyes on the inside," Clayton said. "A fine idea." He paused. "Plus, she's incredibly cute." I closed Clayton's voice from my mind currently. "I have a proposition to make, Alyssa." I said, my eyes on her as I spoke. I watched Alyssa's eyes sparkle with intrigue from my words, and she seemed to hold on to my every word. Can you come to my house tomorrow night? I will send a car to collect you, I questioned, knowing this offer would surely be appealing to her. A human in the mansion and the presence of the Alpha King, what's not to refuse? A proposition? Alyssa asked in reply, tilting her head slightly. I'm definitely intrigued. I will be there. I looked down at my now empty cup and a smile played on my lips. Well done, Alyssa. The latte is gone and you've convinced me to help you. I began to stand from my seat. Don't rush your drink. I've already paid. Looking down at Alyssa, I felt a strange rush of excitement fill me. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow evening. I paused to turn, but before I did, I forgot a vital piece of information to tell Alyssa. Dress for dinner. I plan on cooking up something spectacular. Yes, Alyssa said with excitement in her voice. Absolutely. See you tomorrow, Travis. I had already left Alyssa Richardson's side. All eyes were on me as I walked out of the establishment. The thought of Alyssa was now engraved into my mind, and all I knew was that I wanted to help her bring her asshole mate to justice. Alyssa's POV. I practically skipped home, unable to believe after I was ready to give up that the king heard my plea and wanted to help me. I couldn't help wondering what his proposition would be, though. I just knew the sooner I had our mate bond broken and I could leave this world, the better. Arriving at home, I pushed through the front door and within seconds Derek was by my side. Babe, he exclaimed, where did you go? I missed you. I know I didn't even have to say anything. My face probably spoke them for me. Was he kidding? Missed me? Even my thoughts were sarcastic. Oh, I smiled, putting my bag down. I leaned into the hug as Derek wrapped his arms around me. I was just out doing some jobs. I lied, knowing I had to keep up the act before I had been to see Travis tomorrow. Act natural, as if I was oblivious to my mate and best friend's secret affair. I'm so glad you're home. Derek whispered into my ear before nuzzling his lips into my neck. He inhaled gently as he took in my scent. I really missed you, Allie. Missed you too, I spoke through gritted teeth, trying to sound as genuine as I could. What shall we do for dinner? I tried to push myself out of his embrace. I'm starting to get hungry. Not long after I spoke these words, my tummy grumbled in agreement. How about you cook? Derek asked, following me into the kitchen. That amazing stew with the red wine. I blinked. We're not even married yet, and you're treating me like your slave. I paused. We don't have the ingredients for that. Go and get ingredients then. Didn't you think about that when you were at the store? Derek asked, a stern expression on his face. Funny enough, tending to my future husband's needs constantly isn't always on my mind. I felt anger boil inside me. This idiot expects me to slave over the oven for him after a fuck session with my best friend. How about you cook for once? I turned away from Derek. My temper was rising, and I knew I had to step away from him. As I walked away, I felt Derek's hands grip my waist gently, and he pulled me into his back. Sorry, babe, he husked into my ear. I didn't mean to come across as an asshole. He paused to kiss me, and I felt my body shudder. Not with pleasure, but I was repulsed by his lips on me. It's been a while since we've had a romantic meal together. It is. I pushed my way from Derek's grip once more. Let's just order in tonight. I'm not in the mood to cook. Where are you going? Derek asked, and his persistent neediness and demand to know everything was beginning to infuriate me. Upstairs for a shower. Is that okay? I asked, turning to look at my mate with disdain. Or will you tell me how to do that as well? Derek chuckled. Someone has attitude today. He approached my side again, and he traced his finger up my arm. Do you want company in the shower, babe? That twinkle in his eye. I knew he didn't want to be clean. My skin trembled again, and I felt bile rise in my throat. I couldn't stand Derek touching me anywhere, and I just wanted to get away from him. No thanks, I said. I'd rather do this on my own. I'm a big girl. Derek chewed on his lip as he studied my body. You know how to get me going, Allie. I want you badly. I couldn't face the thought of making love to Derek now, not after seeing his hands all over Haley. The idea brought sickness to me, and my stomach churned. You need to calm down, I laughed nervously. See you in a bit. I disappeared up the stairs as quickly as I could, just to get away from Derek. His advances were making me feel so uncomfortable, and I wanted to be as far away from him as I could. I hope until tomorrow night I can steer clear from him in this house. As I entered our bedroom, my eyes shifted to the bed. It had been made since Derek and Haley had been fucking on it. My skin crawled. There was no way I would be sleeping in there tonight. I couldn't face lying in the spot where they had deceived and humiliated me. I needed an excuse to sleep in one of the guest rooms tonight. "Oh, babe, I made the bed," Derek called up. What did he expect from that? A fucking medal? I found Derek increasingly irritating me, and I hadn't realized until now how much he needed me to baby him. Perhaps this was the reason he wanted to bring a human as his wife to the Dark Kingdom, to serve him as though he was my master. He's the dog in this relationship, in more ways than one. Pushing through the bathroom door, I began to run the shower, and as I waited for it to run hot, I heard a tap at the door. "What do you want, Derek?" I shouted through the closed door. I just needed some peace. That's all I asked for. A private moment to myself to relax and try to let go of some of my stress. "Open the door, please?" Derek asked. With a sigh, I opened the door and saw my cheating mate standing on the other side. A wide grin spread across his face. His messy blonde hair, paired with his baby blue eyes, gave him an angel-like appearance. But that was far from the truth. His tall, muscular figure leaned against the doorway. "I've had an idea," he said as his eyes twinkled. "We'll order in tonight, as we said, but tomorrow night I'll take you out for a meal. Somewhere real classy, maybe that place where we had our 1-month anniversary meal, the Italian." "Sure," I said, not entirely listening to what I was agreeing to. It just seemed like everything that Derek said and did now were all deceptions and lies. "Sounds great." I pushed the door closed and locked it behind me. "I love you," Derek called from behind the door, but I refused to reply. Stepping into the now steaming hot shower, I began to conjure excuses on how to avoid Derek tonight, and for most of tomorrow. Alyssa's POV. I hadn't slept much that night. I found myself unable to think of a reason to not sleep in the same bed as Derek last night. His hands on me made my skin crawl, and bile had burned my throat. I hadn't wanted my mate anywhere near me, but I had managed to convince him I had a headache bad enough to not make love. So that was something. Derek had made plans to go out with some of the Dark Heart Pack members tonight, seeing as we couldn't have our date, which was a relief for me. "I'm going now, babe," Derek said, leaning in to kiss me. His lips on me felt like lies as he planted a kiss. Even his gestures felt full of deceit. "Don't miss me too much," a smug grin spread across his mouth. "Oh, I'll try not to," I replied falsely, trying to return a smile, but I knew it was forced. "Behave yourself." "I always do, babe," Derek responded. "You're the only woman for me." As he wrapped his arms around my waist, pulling me in for an embrace, I felt my entire body freeze up. His lies were becoming too much. I wondered if he believed them himself. I found no words to respond, so gently pushed Derek away. "You're gonna be late." Derek had barely left the house when I spotted the time and dashed up the stairs. Travis's car would be here to collect me in just under an hour, and I had to make an effort to look my best. After all, this could be an occasion to celebrate. Of course, I was cautious when I stepped into the strange car which had pulled up outside the house. I felt like a celebrity stepping inside. With the blacked-out windows, no one would know where I was going or who I even was. Butterflies rattled around my stomach, but I had a good feeling about this, so the hesitation didn't last long. As I entered the back of the car, a face sat on the seat I recognized instantly. "You're here?" I asked Travis. His half-smile nearly melted me as his eyes fixed on me. "Of course I'm here," Travis replied. I couldn't take my eyes off the blue suit he wore, accentuating his features perfectly. "I wouldn't expect you to get into a strange car," he paused, handing me a glass of champagne. "You're smarter than that." I couldn't help but smile and feel sort of foolish. I was willing to get into that car without Travis present. I was so desperate to get myself rid of Derek any way I could. It was worth the risk. "I feel like royalty," I said, sipping on the champagne. I had become so lost in the moment with the Alpha King that I hadn't noticed the car had started moving. "When you're with royalty, Alyssa, you get treated as so," Travis said, clinking his glass against mine before taking a sip. "I can't wait until you see my home. You won't want to leave." I raised a brow. Is that a proposition, my king? I said with a chuckle. That's quite the offer. Travis smirked as his eyes wandered me up and down. Perhaps I'll keep you all to myself. My face began to flush. Was the Alpha King flirting with me? I felt the warmth fill my cheeks at these words. Is it warm in here? Travis chuckled. Relax, Alyssa. We'll be there soon, and then the serious talk starts. For now, let's just enjoy each other's company. After arriving at Travis's house, the initial shock of its grandeur had left me. I followed Travis as he gave me a tour. The house was beautiful, but I got the impression it was too big for him, as though he rattled around it on his lonesome. The decor was stunning, but there wasn't much furniture around. It was just as though Travis had what he needed to live. This is the dining room, Travis said, guiding me into the room. Please take a seat. I've had a meal prepared for us. Prepared for us? I asked, spying on the luxurious table settings. You've got a cook? I do, but I usually prefer to cook for myself, Travis said, easing the chair out for me to sit on like a true gentleman. Forgive me, but I forgot to mention how beautiful you look this evening. Red is very much your color. I felt my heart begin to race in my chest from Travis's words. It had been a while since Derek had paid me a compliment, so I had become less used to them. Thank you, I said as I sat down. You sharpen up well yourself. I found my eyes wandering the well-tailored fit of the blue suit Travis wore. Sitting opposite me, our eyes locked, and it seemed like an age before one of us spoke a word. Travis was the one to break the silence between us. Thank you for coming, Alyssa. He paused. I've been thinking about what you told me, and I've come up with a solution that will help both of us. Oh, I asked, tilting my head slightly. Now I'm intrigued. I want to help you. The Dark Heart Pack has been a concern for me for some time, Travis said, leaning back into his chair as he swilled the wine glass between his fingers. The pack needs assistance and a new alpha. They're being led into bankruptcy and will tread on dangerous territory. Okay, I said with confusion in my voice. But how does this aid me with my issue? It does, in the long run. Travis paused as he placed his glass down and sat up straight. He leaned forward and his eyes bore into mine. Here is my proposition, Alyssa, he said, his tone serious. I am unable to break the bond between you and Derek due to the lack of a mate mark. He paused. In order to be rid of Derek as your mate, you must mate with and marry someone else. Someone else? I asked, shock filling me. I can barely find luck with one mate, never mind another. What are you saying, Travis? Marry me, become my mate. We will seal our bond, and your mated bond with Derek will diminish. I felt my stomach tumble at his words. My face became hot, and as I reached out for my wine glass, my fingers shook with nerves. I tried to pick up the glass, but I couldn't get a grip on it. You seem nervous, Alyssa, Travis said as a smirk shaped his lips. What do you think? Will you be my queen? Travis's POV. Will you be my queen? I don't know, Alyssa responded, and I couldn't help but find her flustered state incredibly endearing. We barely know each other. How can we get married? I'm not sure I'm ready for the sort of commitment with you. I winced as she picked up the wine glass, her fingers trembling as she took it to her mouth. I knew the white tablecloth was a bad idea. The stain would be impossible to remove. She's cute, isn't she? Clayton said in my mind, can we keep her? This is purely professional, I said firmly. I don't know about you, but I have zero plans on falling for this girl. It's just business. Uh-huh, Clayton said. I live inside your mind. I've heard your thoughts about Alyssa, you naughty boy. Hush, will you? I snapped at Clayton. Go away, I'm busy. Taking my attention back to Alyssa, I found myself chuckling. Relax, Alyssa. It will only be for a year. It will take me that time to find a suitable replacement for the Pack Alpha, and for them to find their feet again. I paused, still enjoying the redness on Alyssa's face. Humans were so fragile at times. A year? Alyssa asked. And after a year, then what? I will have rebuilt the Dark Heart Pack. We will have been married, so your mated bond with Derek has been broken, and then you're free to go back to your human world. I paused as I narrowed my eyes slightly. Isn't that what you wanted? To go back to your old life? Yes, Alyssa responded quickly, her voice sounding shaken. That's all I want, to go home and be free of Derek Charlton. I nodded as I sipped some of my wine. And the last thing I want is Charlton in charge of the Dark Heart Pack before it's too late and they start to form an uprising against him. I made an attempt to make Alyssa smile. That wouldn't be great for my reputation. No one likes an ego, she responded. A smile didn't crack on her face at all now. I couldn't help but notice Alyssa seemed somewhat uncomfortable. Was this too much for her? Perhaps she isn't willing to do anything, Clayton said in my mind. The girl is all talk. Look at her, she's near trembling. I noticed. I said to my wolf in return, we will see how much Alyssa wants to break the bond with her mate when she comes to a decision on my offer. Let us hope the girl is smart, Clayton said. It makes sense to help us and herself in this instance. I don't want to pressure you, Alyssa, I said, breaking the silence between us. But you've been very quiet and don't have that eager attitude anymore. Perhaps you don't like my proposition? It's not that, Alyssa said, her eyes meeting mine intensely. I just wonder what else is in this deal for you. Do you claim my body as well, if I agreed to be yours for a year? Of course not, I said with a frown. What do you take me for, an animal? I felt offended at her words. This is not purely to get you into bed. If I wanted that, I would have easily seduced you already. Pfft, Alyssa said, rolling her eyes. Someone is confident. I couldn't help but smirk. The elders have been nagging at me to find a mate, a bride for a while now, and I'm growing tired of their incessant reminders that my clock is ticking to start a family. Oh, so we're having kids now, too? Alyssa's face turned pale as she said these words. This is all moving so fast, Travis. I don't even know if I want children. I chuckled. Let me finish, please. I said with a sigh, all I ask, Alyssa, is that for 1 year we act like a couple in public. Public displays of affection, you attend events with me and be by my side, that sort of thing. I paused. But behind closed doors, away from the public eye and press, we live separately. We don't even have to speak to each other. I watched as Alyssa's expression changed and her eyes seemed to relax on me. For a year? Only in public and nothing in private? Correct, I reassured her with a nod. No sex, Alyssa said. You won't have my body, not fully anyway. That is how it will remain, I said. It's all an act, as long as the public sees us hand in hand, a quick kiss on the cheek, then we can keep up the pretense of our relationship. The elders will be off my back, and by then Derek will be long gone and you can return home. All right, Alyssa said, reaching her hand across the table. We have a deal, 1 year of being a couple, and then after that, I am gone. I smiled, reaching across as I took Alyssa's hand and shook it. The deal is sealed. Now what? Alyssa asked. I feel like I need to act like your girlfriend or something now. She laughed nervously. I could tell she wanted to break the tension. For now, we enjoy this delicious meal, I said as one of my staff placed the meal in front of us. I am absolutely famished. I grinned at Alyssa. Feeling content, a plan was starting to come together. That was easy, Clayton said with a smirk. Imagine if Alyssa fell in love with you, Travis. Then what? Would you let her go after a year? You have to think about all eventualities. I'm not going to fall in love with Alyssa, believe me. The sooner she is gone, that means things are going my way, the way the kingdom needs. I insisted that my wolf was completely wrong. Sure, Clayton said with a sigh. We will see in a year then, won't we? You know, Clayton, you mean the absolute world to me. I paused as I said to my wolf. Don't take this the wrong way. I mean it with good intentions. But kindly fuck off. Alyssa's POV. After the casual conversation had come to a silence, I found myself pushing the food around the plate with my fork. The salmon looked delicious, but I just couldn't stomach it. I wondered if I was making the right decision with the Alpha King's offer, as his proposition circled around my head. You've gone quiet, Travis said, his eyes full of concern for me. Don't tell me you're having second thoughts. A playful tone sounded in his voice, and I knew he was only trying to relax me, but it was like he was reading my mind already. I don't know, I replied eventually. A year just seems a bit long for being your mate. I mean, put it this way, Alyssa, Travis said confidently. If I don't mark you, Derek will still be able to track you down. We need to mark you as soon as we can so he can't get to you. Isn't that what you wanted? Well, yes, I said, knowing full well my intentions were to rid Derek from my life altogether. The idea of him being able to track me down and potentially stalk me sent a shiver up my spine. I want Derek out of my life. As long as he is here and I have to look at him, I feel sick. Travis smiled. There's your answer, Alyssa, my dear. In the long run, it's only a year of your life. A life that you'll be happily living after we part ways, and you can go back to your human ways. You're right. The Alpha King's words rung true. 1 year is nothing after all. I found myself smiling at Travis. Thank you for making me see sense. You're a good man. I try to be, Travis said, raising his glass. Now try to stop overthinking this and enjoy your food. I raised my glass to match Travis and took a sip of the liquid inside. Its silken taste slid down my throat. As I returned back to my food, I found myself studying Travis. He really was incredibly handsome. No doubt the best-looking man I had ever seen in the Dark Kingdom. It was a shame it had come to such extremes for me to meet the king, but part of me was happy I had the opportunity. Not only was he drop-dead gorgeous, but his eyes were kind, and I felt like I could trust him, as though I had known Travis for a long time, like he was a trusted friend. I couldn't lose focus on the matter at hand right now. I wouldn't let myself fall for the Alpha King. I knew I had to look past his charm and appearance, so I could be set free from all of this. But at least it could be worse. I would spend a year in a false relationship with this man, a year of acting as though we were deeply in love. Travis was easy on the eye at the very least, and I knew he would treat me with respect. I should tell you, I began, after enjoying a mouthful of the salmon steak. Derek and I were due to be married by the next full moon. In 13 days' time? Travis asked, and it didn't surprise me he knew the moon cycle. Most wolves did. It was built into their very being like clockwork. I feel like that gives us enough time to form a plan. 13 days is enough? I asked. Panic set in my voice, and I set down my cutlery to focus on what Travis was getting at. Are you sure? Yes, the Alpha King replied. It's best that I mark you on the full moon. The bond will be greater, which will ensure your mated bond with Derek will be broken. I trust you know what you're doing, I said hesitantly. Do you have any ideas on how we could postpone my wedding to Derek? I wanted it done as soon as possible. I couldn't go much longer thinking the wedding day was closing nearer. I suggest we meet up again, Travis said with confidence. His dark eyes shimmered. Let me have a think on it. To come up with a realistic reason to postpone your wedding. He paused. I also suggest we leave it as late as possible to delay it, so Derek isn't left with days of thinking about it. We don't want him becoming suspicious. I knew where Travis was coming from, so I just nodded in agreement as I poked my food again. I trusted his judgment fully, but I felt the bile rise in my throat as I thought about having to spend an extended amount of time with Derek. I just wanted to be as far away from him as I could, but now I had to tiptoe around knowing Derek and Haley were having an affair behind my back. Haley was welcome to that deceiving bastard. I just didn't want it rubbed in my face any longer. We should meet 7 days before the full moon again, Travis said, his voice comforting as he spoke. I knew I could trust him with anything at this point. That gives us enough time to think about our next move and plan an attack at the very last minute. Sure, I said with a smile. Just a few more days to endure that prick in his floozy. It will all be worth it in the end. You got this, Alyssa, Travis said, his smile warming my entire body. You always know you can talk to me. I'm only a phone call away. I felt my heart racing in my chest at these words. Never had a man talk to me with such respect before. I wasn't used to it. Derek would never have considered my feelings as Travis had, and I had to remind myself not to fall hard. 7 days before the full moon, I repeated Travis's words out loud. This is exciting. I can't wait to be free of Derek, away from the Dark Kingdom. I regretted saying those words to a man who had treated me so kindly. But Travis just smiled, as warmly as before. I'm sorry your experience here has not been great, Alyssa, but I will make sure your last year is the best you could have before you leave us. Derek's POV. Alyssa has been gone a long time, I spoke internally to my wolf, Nova, as I pondered on where my mate could be at this moment. It's not like her to be out so late. Relax, don't get your panties in a twist, Nova chuckled. She's a young woman who needs to let her hair down once in a while. He paused. Perhaps you should have stayed out later. I wanted to come home to her, I said in response. Are you saying Alyssa prefers to be out with her friends rather than here with me? I didn't say that, Derek. Don't put words in my mouth, Nova said gruffly. All I meant was Alyssa needs some time with her friends once in a while without your possessive attitude. Possessive? I asked, my inner tone firm and offended. How dare you, Wolf? I am not possessive of Alyssa. If you say so, Nova said with a deep sigh, I'm sure she will be home soon. Just don't berate her about it when she's back. I can read your thoughts, you know. I'm aware of what's going on in here. I felt a growl simmer in my throat. Deciding not to talk with Nova any longer, I pushed the white wolf to the back of my mind to indicate I had no interest in conversing any longer. Picking up my phone, I checked it again. No messages or calls from Alyssa, not even to ask how my night was going. I conjured up so many thoughts in my mind, wondering where my mate could be and what or who she was doing. Anger began to boil inside me as I thought of the possibility of her in bed with another man. Alyssa's blissful moans as he pleasured her. Perhaps he was better at pushing her buttons than I am. Stop it, I shouted, pain running through my fingers as I realized I had balled my hands firmly into fists. You're making it worse. Perhaps I am a little possessive, I said to my wolf, wishing to summon him again. The very idea of some dirty pervert with his hands on my Alyssa fills me with rage and a violent intent. Nova appeared in my mind again. That's kind of smart coming from you, the one who is regularly cheating on his mate with her best friend. His tone smug. I didn't like it. And you're the one worried Alyssa is cheating on you? Yeah, well, I responded. If she was cheating on me, it would be humiliating for my status, wouldn't it? It would, Nova chuckled. But you're always thinking about yourself. Perhaps you should consider other people's feelings before you. I'm home, Alyssa called, closing the front door, and I ignored everything Nova had to say now. Derek, are you back yet? Standing to my feet, I rushed out of the room to where I knew Alyssa had entered our home. Leaping forward, my arms outstretched, I grabbed my mate and pulled her into me. Oh, there you are, Alyssa said, slightly muffled, her face buried into my chest as I embraced her. Where have you been, Alyssa? I asked, panic in my voice, and I felt my heart racing in my chest as though it was desperate to beat itself out of my ribcage. I was worried sick. It's midnight. I thought you were dead. Alyssa pushed herself away from me, her palms flat on my chest as she loosened my embrace. What the hell, Derek? She asked. The furrow of her brow told me she wasn't pleased with my behavior. I'm a goddamn adult. I met with some friends and we went dancing. Don't try to keep tabs on me. Just because we're mated, it doesn't mean you own me. Alyssa, always stubborn. I knew she would fight back at every opportunity she had, even when I was only concerned for her whereabouts. I thought about what Nova had said, and perhaps my behavior could come across as a little controlling at times. I was just worried for her. You know I don't like it when you're out late, and I don't know where you are, I said, relaxing my voice. I placed my hands on her shoulders. At the end of the day, you're a human in a werewolf world. If anything happened and you were attacked, you would have zero chance of survival. Alyssa's frown deepened on her brow. Derek, you need to let me have some time to myself. I know what I'm doing. I can take care of myself. I've lived here long enough to know the type of people to avoid. But Alyssa, I began, but her words cut me off. I'm not in the mood to argue, she said, removing her coat. Can we just go to bed and talk about this in the morning? I'm tired and slightly drunk and just want to pass out asleep. Sure, I said, smiling as I nodded. We can snuggle in bed. That will make me happy. As we laid in bed, Alyssa's back pushed against me as the curve of her body fitted into mine perfectly. My hands wandered the curves of her body, my hot breath on her neck as I placed gentle kisses on her skin. Perhaps I had jumped to conclusions too quickly, I said to Nova in my mind. I trust Alyssa, I really do. Nova laughed lowly. Of course you do. One day your paranoid mind will get you into trouble, though. You need to stop overthinking and accusing Alyssa of being unfaithful. As if you have the nerve to anyway. Nova was right. I knew he was. What I was doing to Alyssa behind her back was terrible, with her best friend as well. But what Alyssa didn't know wouldn't hurt her. And once we were married, I could have everything I needed in life. It would be bliss. 2 women. I said to my wolf, Haley thinks I will toss Alyssa aside when I'm done with her, allowing her to fulfill her purpose. But I'm greedy. I want them both. Imagine that. I will have both of their bodies to myself whenever I wish for them to pleasure me. You're foul, Nova said firmly, disappearing from my mind hastily. I buried my face into Alyssa's neck once more, enjoying her scent as I inhaled slowly. You're mine, Alyssa, I said quietly. Forever and ever mine. Alyssa's POV. A few days had passed since the eventful discussion about my staying out late. I had lied to Derek, making him believe I was dancing with friends, when in fact I was dining with Travis, the Alpha King. That night had played on my mind regularly since then. I had enjoyed Travis's company so much, not only from the view of being able to rid myself of Derek once and for all, but I genuinely enjoyed being around Travis for who he was as a person. Travis was warm and kind, his heart was golden, and I knew from the genuine sparkle in his eyes that he was someone I could trust. I knew a bond would form between us as we spent time together, and I would leave the Dark Kingdom with a great friend. I'm home, I said with lackluster as I entered the front door to my mate's home. I got all my chores done, if you're interested. I lied. I had no chores. I just wanted to get away from Derek. The more time we spent together, the more intimate he wanted to be. His touch caused me to shudder. What was once a shiver of bliss was now one of sickness and dread. Derek? I asked, shouting his name loudly. Honey, did you go out? I hoped he had, so I could enjoy some peace by myself, and perhaps go through some of my belongings, ready to leave this home full of bad memories. Walking through the house, I realized Derek wasn't in the kitchen, dining room, or living room, so I decided to take myself upstairs. As I wandered across the hallway, it was then I heard the muffled voices coming from our bedroom. Stopping in front of the door, it was slightly open, and as I had become closer, I started to hear every word being said. I recognized the voices, so familiar to me being of my mate and best friend. This time, knowing what they were doing in there didn't fill me with terror and upset. I was prepared for it. Travis had advised me to try and log any evidence I came across, to fight my case, so I did. Reaching into my pocket, I pulled out my phone and held it toward the gap in the slightly open door, pressing record on the audio function. Derek, Haley's raspy, pleasured voice moaned. That feels amazing? You feel amazing, Derek responded, the same amount of bliss in his tone. Haley moaned once more. I know we have to be cautious. Her voice trembled with plead as she asked, I need to feel you. We can't, Haley, darling, Derek said, but I can't risk you having my pups right now. I need Alyssa to bear my children first. I know, Derek, Haley said. I understand. I just need you to know how I'm feeling. Of course, darling, Derek replied, but I'll definitely give you some feeling. Haley gasped deeply as I heard the bed squeak, faster as Derek quickened his pace. Scream my name, my love. Satisfied with that evidence, I stopped the recording and instantly attached it to a message to send to the Alpha King. Hey Travis, I thought you might be interested in some light audio listening today. The message was uploading the video, my eyes eager on it as the file uploaded, and as it was sent, I felt a sense of relief wash over me. It wasn't long before Travis responded, Good God, you weren't wrong, Alyssa. That's disgusting. Are you at home? Yep, I responded, a smile curving my mouth as I typed. They're in our bedroom, on our bed. Derek knew I was heading out to do some chores today, so the first thing he did was apparently call his little slut over. I watched as the messenger bar indicated that Travis was typing a response. That's shameful. I can't believe it, he said. Alyssa, are you all right? Do you need to talk about this? I'm here if you need me. I suddenly felt my heart dance in my chest. It pounded with a fast rhythm. Travis was so concerned about me. It was endearing. The more I spoke to him, the more I wanted to speed up the process and become his mate for a year. I knew he would treat me well in my last year in the Dark Kingdom. I'm okay, thank you, Travis. I typed a reply. I'm looking forward to seeing you in a few days. I love your house. Travis replied with a laughing emoji face, and then said, Oh, just my house, huh? Nothing else in the house that interests you? Are you sure? I felt my cheeks become hot as my skin flustered. My heart began to race. Was the Alpha King flirting with me again? It had been so long since a man other than Derek had shown me attention that I wasn't sure if I was misreading the signs. Biting on my lip gently, I began to type a reply. There may be one or two things in the house that interest me, yes, but I have yet to make a final decision there. As I sent the message, I felt my heart pound even faster. It pulsed in my ears, and I swore I could feel a flutter in my tummy. These were feelings I decided to choose to ignore. I can't wait to see you, Travis responded quickly. Me too, I typed back. I'm eager to know what kind of plan you have for us. You're gonna love it, Alyssa, I promise. Have to go, duty calls. See you soon, X. A kiss? At the end of the message. That was new. What did that mean? Was I reading too much into this? Perhaps he was one of these people who left everyone kisses at the end of the message. Don't overthink it, Alyssa. Just focus on the task at hand. We're getting closer to being rid of these two lying, cheating assholes, once and for all. Travis's POV. Quit pacing around, Clayton growled in my mind. You're giving me a headache. I can't help it, I said, my feet unable to stop moving as I paced across the room. My eyes were shifting from the window to see if Alyssa had arrived yet, and to the small dining table to make sure everything was laid out perfectly. I'm just so nervous. Why? Clayton asked. You've done this before with no fuss, he chuckled. It's not because you like Alyssa, is it? Of course, I like her, I responded, stopping my pace momentarily as I thought I heard the faint sound of a car engine outside. Must have been my imagination. She seems like a really cool person, for a human, I mean. I tried to tone down my views on Alyssa, or else I would never hear the end of it from Clayton. Uh-huh, my wolf responded. Like or like? Shut up, Clayton, I barked. We're not 12 years old with a crush. Alyssa is just nice, and she gets me. But you're excited for tonight? The wolf asked, and I heard the smugness in his tone. I am, but purely because it's the beginning of a chance for me to improve on the Dark Heart Pack and nothing else. Alyssa is purely an aid to me in perfecting my kingdom. Plus, I'll be helping her out too. It's always nice to help out a friend in need. I walked toward the table and messed with the cutlery setting. Did I get it right? Was the spoon in the correct place? I felt my palms become clammy from the effort. Clayton huffed. And it has absolutely nothing to do with how stunningly beautiful Alyssa is? He asked. If you even noticed the last time. Of course I noticed, I said firmly. I'm not blind, Alyssa is breathtaking, but this isn't about that. My mind was taken by the sound of the car pulling up into the space in front of the house, its wheels treading across the pebbled ground. I recognized the car as my own, and my heart began to race in my chest at the idea of seeing Alyssa in mere seconds. She's here, I said with excitement in my mind. You need to behave yourself and stay quiet for the next few hours, I warned Clayton. Yes, boss, Clayton chuckled, but let me know if you need your wingman. The nerves had begun to settle after Alyssa had come into my home again. This time she looked even more breathtaking than the last time she dined with me. The red sequin dress fitted her curved body perfectly, as her long black hair cascaded down in loose curls over her shoulders. This looks amazing, she smiled as our eyes connected. Did your chef make this too? A smirk formed on the curve of her red lips. Actually, I grinned. I gave Rodney the night off. I made this myself. Wow, Alyssa's eyes lit up. Really? It tastes so good. I watched as she took a bigger mouthful of the pasta, and blissful moans came from her as she enjoyed the taste. You're an incredible cook, I laughed. You know I have talents in many areas, not just the kitchen. Alyssa's cheeks reddened, and that was exactly the reaction I wanted. I enjoyed her in this flustered state when I flirted with her. She was incredibly adorable in these moments, even more so than usual. So, Alyssa said, composing herself after taking a sip of her wine, let's talk about why I'm really here. I nodded, finishing the last part of my pasta. I placed my knife and fork onto the center of the plate and slid it away from me. Good idea, before we get too carried away, I winked, before taking a sip of my own wine and indulging in the redness of Alyssa's cheeks once more. Alyssa finished her own food and mimicked my gesture of pushing her plate away. Her eyes left my gaze and she studied the table, and I knew she was trying to cool herself off and stop the redness of her beautiful face. We stage a werewolf attack, I said, leaning back into my chair. Attack? Alyssa asked with a slight frown. Me? For what purpose? To postpone your wedding, I said matter-of-factly. We need something severe for Derek to agree to postpone the wedding, and your health seems plausible. I paused. Obviously, you won't be harmed for real. It will all be staged. I know people who will help us run with this. Makeup, effects, and even people who can stand in as medical staff to take care of you. You've really thought about this, haven't you? Alyssa said with a smile. I like the sound of it. If Derek thinks I'm severely injured, he will have no choice but to postpone the ceremony. She paused, and I could see her mind working. What if Derek wanted to seek revenge on the wolf who attacked me? He will question me on who did it. Oh, that's easy, I smirked. We have either temporary memory loss or the fact it was so dark you didn't see the attacker. I have lots of strings I can pull to make this work, Alyssa. Leave it with me. This is perfect, Alyssa beamed, and the way her eyes sparkled caused my heart to skip a beat. Derek deserves to feel the hurt from this. I want him to suffer with the emotional pain, just as he has caused me. I blinked. Whoa, Alyssa, I laughed. Remind me not to get on the wrong side of you within the next year. I paused. So we need to organize a time to begin this plan. It had to be within the next day or two. After all, it's not long until your wedding to Derek now. Ugh, don't remind me, Travis. Alyssa shuddered as her words shook. I can't even bear the idea of marrying that toad now. It makes my skin crawl. I smiled, raising my glass to the air. Let's toast then, to make the toad suffer before I claim you and make you mine. I winked, knowing these words would get Alyssa hot under the collar once more. And I was right. Derek's POV. Excuse me, can you repeat that? I asked, my heart racing so hard it felt like it had jumped into my throat. Alyssa, is she okay? My eyes snapped to Haley, who lay next to me, naked in our bed. No, I'm not busy. I can come right away. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Ending the call, I jumped out of bed and began to pull on my jeans. You need to leave, I said to Haley, without making eye contact with her. I searched around the bedroom floor for the rest of my clothes. What's happened? Haley asked, sitting up in the bed. Talk to me, Derek. Alyssa, I said with a pause, pulling on my jumper. She was attacked last night and has been taken into care at the hospital. I need to go see her. Shit, Haley said sincerely. Do you want me to come with you? I can drive you if you aren't up to it. No, I yelled. You need to get out of my house. My wife-to-be is lying in hospital severely injured, and you're the last person I need right now. Derek, Haley whimpered, her eyes filled with tears. Don't take it out on me. I didn't hurt Alyssa. She began to sob as the tears streamed down her cheeks. I'm so sorry, Haley. My tone changed softly, and I pulled her in for a hug, her naked body pressed against me. I didn't mean to take it out on you. I lost my temper. It's not your fault. I paused to inhale the scent of her neck. Just give me today to find out what's going on. I'll call you later and you can stay the night if Alyssa isn't home. What if she is home tonight? Haley asked. Will you want to be with her? No, I said hastily. We'll find somewhere else to stay if she comes home tonight. I need to be with you. Kissing her lips gently, I released from the embrace and helped gather her clothing so she could get dressed. I'll call you later on, my love. I rushed straight to the hospital, out through the large front doors, and straight to the reception. How can I help, sir? The attractive blonde receptionist asked, my mind momentarily distracted by the size of her breasts squeezed into the white blouse she wore. I brought myself back to the matter in hand. I've received a call about Alyssa Richardson. She was attacked last night and brought here. Can I see her? The blonde's eyes narrowed as she typed information into her computer. And you are? She asked cautiously. Derek Charlton, her fiance. We're due to be married in 2 days, I said, panic in my voice. The thought of having to cancel our wedding caused my stomach to turn nauseous. The pretty blonde twisted her face as though she knew something I didn't. Okay, Alyssa is in room 5 in the private suites. Down the hall, take the left, and there will be a set of stairs leading up to the suite. Thank you, I said with gratitude toward the receptionist. I hurriedly left the desk and toward the suites I had been directed to. Finding room 5 easily, I burst through the door and saw Alyssa laying in the hospital bed. Alyssa, my love, my voice croaked as I ran to her bedside. I sat on the side of the bed and gently picked up her hand. What happened to you? My eyes studied my fiance, her face swollen and bruised. The cuts on her face glistened from the fresh blood. Her arms were marked with bruises, and a large gash seeped from her chest. I felt my throat tighten and tears formed in my eyes. "Alyssa, can you talk?" I watched as Alyssa opened her mouth, trying to form words, but she failed. She managed a croaked whisper, but it was nothing I could make sense of. "Are you Derek Charlton?" The doctor at the side approached, her eyes on the chart as she read the information. "I am Derek Charlton, her fiance," I said, wanting everyone to know how important I was to Alyssa. "Alyssa was involved in an attack last night. We found her body in the street after walking home late at night," the doctor said, not taking her eyes off the notes. "What did I tell you, Alyssa?" I said angrily as my voice rose. "You're not to stay out late at night on your own, but you never listened to me. This is your fault." I watched as Alyssa's eyes filled with sadness at my words. Tears glistened on them, and I felt instant regret from my cruel words. But I refused to apologize, because we both knew I was right. I warned her. "Let's forget who is to blame for now," the doctor said, placing her hand on my shoulder. "We just need to talk about this incident and what it means for Alyssa. We are sure she was attacked by a werewolf to be specific." "Those injuries say wolf all over," I mumbled, not wanting to point out to Dr. Obvious it was clear what had attacked Alyssa. The doctor appeared to ignore my sarcastic tone. "Alyssa is severely injured, not just externally, but there's internal damage too. She will need a good length of recovery time. But she will heal," I said with concern in my voice as I squeezed her hand lightly. "I know she will." "Yes," the doctor said. "But remember, Alyssa is a human and does not have the recovery speed us werewolves do. It will take her a good few months until full recovery." "No," I shook my head. "We're getting married in 2 days. I need Alyssa healed by then. I'm afraid you will have to consider postponing your wedding." The doctor shook her head. "There is no physical way that Alyssa will recover in that short space of time." She paused. "For now, we need to leave Alyssa to rest. I will call you with any updates on progress, but for now I suggest you get your wedding canceled for the time being. Miss Richardson's recovery is far more important at this time." I felt my blood boiling inside me as my anger rose. "I will find out who did this to you, Alyssa, and personally rip their head off." Alyssa's POV. "Is he gone?" I asked the woman at my side, impressed she was still keeping the pretense of playing doctor by snooping at the fake notes on her clipboard. I was impressed by Patricia's ability to stay in character. I was feeling myself being fooled that she may actually be a real doctor. "I think so," Patricia smirked. "But it's best to be sure. He might have a sudden change of mind and run back in. Had that happened before, that's the joy of live performance. You never know what will happen next." I hope not," I said, twisting my face with disgust. "I would rather not see his greasy lying face again today." Patricia giggled, placing the clipboard down. I knew she would have been up to date on why we were doing this, and I'm sure she agreed Derek deserved his comeuppance. Laying in the hospital bed, I couldn't get past the fact it was so uncomfortable. How did people actually rest and recover in these? I guess the benefit of being a werewolf and having super speedy healing abilities meant they didn't have to stay in these beds for too long. "I think we should be clear now," Patricia said, peering at her phone as she watched the external hospital CCTV. "I've just seen Derek leave the building." "Phew," I said with relief, pulling the covers off me. I sat up out of bed. "I'm sweating under all these layers of makeup and prosthetics." I paused and looked at the doctor. "Thanks, Patricia," I said with a smile. "You did so well at convincing Derek back there. I didn't even have to speak. I nearly thought I had been attacked and was beginning to feel a bit of pain." Patricia grinned, pulling off her white medical coat. "It's all part of the job, dear. Pretending to be someone I'm not." She paused. "And I've never played a doctor role before, so that will look great on the CV." I nodded. "You get yourself off now, Patricia. You've worked really hard and deserve a break." I also wanted to be left alone. I felt exhausted, even though all I had done is lay in bed. "Oh, I have a bottle of wine at home with my name on it." Patricia smiled. "Care to join me in a celebratory drink?" "As tempting and as sweet as that offer is," I said in response to Patricia's generous proposition, I really need to get back to Travis and fill him in. Patricia nodded. I understand. Scooping up her coat and bag, she hurried out of the room, waving goodbye. With a smile, I picked up my phone and called Travis. It barely rang twice before he answered. He must have been sitting by his phone, waiting to hear from me. Alyssa, Travis said cheerily, and hearing his voice instantly warmed my insides. How did it go? Is it good news? It went brilliantly, I said with enthusiasm, and I could hear the excitement in my own voice. Derek bought it, and I managed to fake it so I couldn't speak. Patricia did all the talking. She was amazing. I felt giddy. I realized I was bouncing on the spot. So now she's told Derek to go home so I can recover, and she will contact him with any news or updates. I'm so happy, Alyssa, Travis responded, sounding as excited as I was. You did so well. This is a great start to put our plan into action. Hearing Travis give me such sweet praise ignited something inside me. My chest began to swell as my tummy tumbled with pleasant feelings. Thank you, I said, not really one to take the credit for Patricia's acting skills, but I wanted to take the Alpha King's praise anyway. I did my best. You did. I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. His voice purred, and I felt my tummy tumble like a washing machine on the fast spin cycle. Now all we need to do is keep up with this act for a day or two longer, just until the full moon, and I can mark you as my own. Yes, I said with so much excitement I nearly toppled off the bed, but managed to keep my balance. I should go and have a walk around to stretch my legs. It's cramped in that bed. Please do, Alyssa. I don't want you suffering, Travis said. I'll come see you later. We can enjoy a drink to celebrate. I knew straight away I didn't want to refuse a drink with Travis. The more time I spent with him, the better. For some reason, the idea of being near Travis filled me with such exhilaration, as though I needed to be with him, enjoying his company. Travis brought such a light to me, almost as though I craved him. But I knew it was just the thrill of this plan coming together, always one step closer to me being free from Derek and going back home where I belong. I'll see you later, I said quite casually before ending the call. I took a breather to compose myself. Feeling my heart race inside my chest, I needed to calm it down before I carried on with anything else. I couldn't focus when I felt this way. I saw my phone light up. It buzzed on the bed where I had set it down, and I looked at the caller ID. Haley. One of the people I would usually be so excited to talk to and tell about my day, but now the idea of talking to the deceitful bitch caused bile to rise in my throat. I ignored the call. As much as I wanted to see what sort of sick lies and false concern she had for me, I wasn't giving her the satisfaction. Plus, I had to stay in character. As far as Derek knew, I couldn't talk, so chatting to Haley would break my cover if she told him. I allowed the phone to ring until it finally cut off. I had bigger things to fill my mind with now. Starting a future with the Alpha King, the next year, would be an interesting one. Alyssa's POV. I couldn't believe that worked. The day had finally arrived, and Derek had believed I had been attacked viciously by a werewolf and postponed the wedding so I could recover. Every day for the last few days of me being taken into care, he had visited me. But it still didn't change my mind on the matter. I wanted to end this mated bond with Derek Charlton as quickly as I could. It wouldn't matter how generous Derek behaved toward me. I could never forgive him for cheating on me. Arriving home, I hadn't made Derek aware that I was being released from the hospital and brought back home. Wherever Derek was right now, and whatever I caught him doing or who he was doing, mattered little to me now. Tonight was my night, the moment I would be set free from him. The car dropped me off in front of our house, the same sleek black model with the blacked-out tinted windows. I thanked the driver, Charlie, who I was becoming more and more familiar with now, and headed to the front door of my home. See you in a few. I waved as he pulled the car back onto the road, giving me a little wave as he went by. I knew what I needed to do, get inside and try to avoid Derek's advances by faking my injuries a little longer. The prosthetics still applied to my face, but less so as the days went on. I had to look like I had started to heal a little at least. Derek? I asked, shouting his name across the room. I'm home. They discharged me because I can take care of myself now. Nothing. The only noise sounding was the clicking of my heels on the tiled floor and the sound of a car passing by in the distance. "Derek?" I called again, this time louder than the last, and my voice echoed around the high ceiling. "Are you here?" My question was met with a still silence. "I guess he isn't home," I said in a hushed tone. Making my way to the staircase, I began to focus on what I needed to do now. My focus was Travis, meeting him tonight in the woods as we readied ourselves for the mating ceremony. My heart raced inside my chest as I thought of Travis, and how in a matter of a few hours he would mark me and claim me as his own, for an entire year. But in doing so, I would be broken free of Derek Charlton and his greasy, cheating hands clutching me so tightly. I would no longer belong to Derek. I would become the object of the Alpha King's affection and become his bride in a false holy matrimony. As I sped along the corridor, my heart pounding in my ears from the force of its pulsing, I could only now think about Travis. His handsome face appeared in my mind, that melting smile which caused my knees to weaken, and his ethereal, deep-colored eyes mesmerizing as he stared at me. It was as though I knew each inch of detail of his face, which led me to realize I had spent far too much time staring at the Alpha King. I hurried down to my walk-in wardrobe, past mine and Derek's bedroom, where I didn't even listen for deceitful activity coming from within. I was focused on one thing only. What do I wear for a mating ceremony to an Alpha King? Barging through the door, I instantly ran to the rack of my most luxurious dresses. Sifting through each one, the coat hangers scraped against the rail as I searched. It was then I saw the dress, the one I had bought especially for my wedding night with Derek. Pulling it from the rail, I held the dress in front of me and studied its beauty. An ivory-long fishtail-style dress, nothing too over the top with its decoration, but it had enough to make this number classy. The sweetheart neckline was something I knew would suit me, and I decided there and then this would be the dress I would meet Travis in tonight. I needed a different event to link this dress with. I would no longer remember it as the dress I nearly got married to my cheating fiance. "This is it," I said in a whisper to myself, holding the dress up in front of me as I admired myself in the mirror. "This is the dress I will wear to break Derek's bond and become the mate of a king." Keeping an eye on the time, I panicked, knowing I had so much to do to make myself look more beautiful and pristine than I had ever looked in my life so far. I knew Charlie would be back in a couple of hours to pick me up. Taking a large swig of the wine I had brought up from the kitchen, I began to mentally prepare myself for what was in store for me this evening. I would begin the process of becoming the queen of the Dark Kingdom. After hopping into the shower, I took care to wash my hair and shave in all the places that were usually hairless on me, making sure to get into all the cracks. I left the shower, dried myself off, and began to hear the familiar tone of my phone ringing. Leaping for the phone on the side of the sink, I saw it was Travis and just had to answer it. "Has something happened? Was the ceremony postponed as well? Had Derek found out and uncovered our plans?" "Travis!" I said with a heavy rasp after the effort of grabbing my phone quickly. "Is everything okay? Did something happen? Are you all right?" So many questions left my lips, one after the other. I heard Travis chuckle softly. "I'm okay, Alyssa. Everything is going to plan." He paused and I could hear my heart thumping inside my chest rapidly. "I just wanted to hear your voice," he said with a sultry tone. I was feeling nervous, and I knew hearing you would settle those nerves. I couldn't find words to say. Hearing Travis say such lovely things to me wasn't what I was used to. Part of me wished he would stop being so charming, because it wasn't making not falling for the king any easier. But also, I enjoyed his gentle, attentive nature toward me. A low laugh left my lips. "We'll be fine," I said, returning his gentle tone. "I can't wait to see you." "Likewise, my queen," Travis said. His words shuddered slightly, and I knew he was as excited as I was feeling. Travis's POV. "I can't believe this is it," I said to Clayton, feeling my body tremble slightly. "All these days of planning, and we made it." "Indeed," Clayton replied huskily. "I can feel your nerves, Travis. You're shaking. Are you that scared?" "Kinda," I responded. "But more excited," I said with a laugh, feeling like a teenager with a crush. "I'm looking forward to have someone in my home to talk to." Clayton laughed loudly in my mind. causing me to flinch. That says a lot about your staff and friends, doesn't it? I couldn't help but return a chuckle. You know what I mean. I can feel Alyssa on another level, as though we already have a bond, I guess. Clayton said. And the fact is she's really hot, and you'll see her walking around in her underwear. Clay, I sighed. Don't be a pervert just because that's what you want. Well, yeah. Clayton said, imagine if we caught Alyssa out of the shower too. Nothing but towel and... Shut up, I said, raising my voice. I can't think about that right now. Alyssa will be here soon. Afraid you'll get a boner when she arrives? Clayton asked with a cheeky tone. Imagine how embarrassing that would be, or perhaps Alyssa will enjoy you standing to attention. I felt myself trembling once more. Clayton wasn't helping to calm my nerves much. Alyssa will be here any second. Can you please talk about something else? What about the old lady across the road with the weird wart on her face, naked in a hot tub? Clayton responded. The laugh that escaped him was evil. I hate you, I said with a disappointed tone. Alyssa's here. I can hear the car. I took my attention to the spot where the headlights from Charlie's car began to shine, growing brighter as the car arrived closer. It pulled up by my side and I felt my heart begin to race in my chest at great speed. The door opened and out stepped Alyssa. My jaw dropped at her beauty, her curved figure dressed in a long, decorative ivory gown which shaped her perfectly. She was breathtaking. You made it, I smiled, trying to hide my nerves. I stretched out my hand, which she took instantly. You look beautiful, Alyssa. Absolutely stunning, Alyssa smiled. Thank you, Travis. You look quite the catch yourself in your tuxedo. She paused. You sound like you didn't expect me to show. Well, I laughed nervously. The thought was in the back of my mind, like first date nerves, I guess, wondering if your date will show or not. This is some first date. Alyssa laughed softly, and the sound of her soft chimes set my heart alight. Usually I would say we were moving too fast. I couldn't help but laugh. I adored Alyssa's sense of humor. I don't often ask women to commit to me on this level on the first date. I began to lead Alyssa further into the woods, where I had set out a small arrangement between the gap in the trees. Follow me. I watched Alyssa's expression as we grew closer to our spot where the ceremony would take place. A comfortable Sherpa blanket on the ground, accompanied with a bottle of champagne. Candles flickered delicately around to illuminate the spot, as if the soaking light of the full moon wasn't enough. Did you do this? Alyssa asked with amazement in her voice. It's beautiful. I did, I said, leading Alyssa to the blanket. But it doesn't match your beauty. Nothing does. I paused with a smile. Get comfortable, my dear, and we will begin the ceremony. I took a spot on the blanket next to Alyssa and poured us a glass of champagne each. To ease the nerves, I said with a smile. How are you feeling, Alyssa? You know you can still change your mind on this. Alyssa returned my smile, taking a delicate sip of the champagne. I definitely don't want to change my mind. This is what I want, she paused. But I am feeling quite nervous. I've never done this before. Will it hurt? Only for a few seconds. I said truthfully, the pain will come when I bite into you, but then you will feel nothing else after, I promise. I paused, brushing my fingers against Alyssa's bare arm. If at any moment you feel uncomfortable and want me to stop, just tell me, okay? Okay, she nodded, and I watched her finish off the glass of champagne. I'm ready. Let's do this and get it over with. A part of me felt disappointed. Alyssa wanted to get it over with. I wanted her to enjoy the moment, but I understood her feelings. As a human, I can't imagine it would be very pleasant for her to feel the pain of being bitten. Yes, the sooner it's done, the better. I placed my drink down and shifted myself closer to Alyssa. May I? I asked, hovering my fingers over the hair which cascaded over her shoulder, and seeing her respond with a nod. I took the hair and gently pulled it to her back, revealing her neck. I'll bite your neck, so you can hide it with your hair if needed. Why would I want to hide it, Travis? Alyssa asked, her big green eyes staring into me. I would be proud to be marked by you. It's not every day I get to belong to someone as wonderful as you. My heart began to race in my chest, thumping so wildly I could swear it would break out any moment. Are you sure? I asked, trying to steady my breathing to not show my nerves. After all, our contract is only temporary. Alyssa smiled again. She seemed to calm and collected now. Of course, I'm sure. Our mated bond will be a memory of what we went through to both get what we wanted. With a nod, I released a gentle exhale. Leaning further into Alyssa's neck, my lips began to brush against her soft skin. I took in a deep breath, inhaling her sweet scent which danced on my senses. Alyssa smelt like nothing I had experienced before. I wanted to devour her, but protect her at all costs. I always wanted Alyssa to be close to me, to become one with her. "Oh no," I said internally. "This can't happen." "What? What's wrong, Travis? Just bite her already," Clayton said with frustration in his voice. "I think I'm falling in love with Alyssa," I said. "I've never felt this way for anyone, Clay, and it scares me. This wasn't part of the plan. How can I let her go after a year if I want to be with Alyssa forever?" So many thoughts whirled around my mind, endless questions of how I was feeling in this moment. "I'm scared." "Love is never planned," Clayton responded. Alyssa's POV. I thought I knew what to expect after Travis talked me through the process. Pain at first, which wouldn't last too long. How had he known? Perhaps it was different for humans because we don't heal so fast. "Shut up, Alyssa." I told myself. I was overthinking it, as I did with everything. It won't last long, just tighten up your muscles and bear it until it's over. My eyes connected with Travis's deep caramel orbs, and I became completely lost in them. I felt my body begin to tremble with delight as the Alpha King's lips brushed against the skin of my neck. "Are you ready, Alyssa?" Travis asked with a gentle whisper. "There's still time to change your mind if you want." Was Travis trying to talk me out of it? There was no way I was backing out now. "I'm ready," I responded with a shudder to my voice. "Do your best, Travis." It was then I felt the hot breath on my skin first, and after came the sharp sting as Travis sunk his teeth into me. I squealed slightly but did not scream as I imagined I would. Wrapping my arms around his shoulders, I dug my fingertips into his jacket as I grasped the fabric tightly to try and prevent myself from squirming. "Travis," I released an exhale. The pain was gone as quick as it arrived, and I felt a sense of pleasure wash over me, a sensation I had never felt before, as if my entire body burst into flames. But it didn't burn me. My skin brushed with delicate tingles, and as Travis began to gently run his fingers across the skin of my arms, I let out a pleasured moan. As the Alpha King removed his teeth from my skin, he planted gentle kisses onto the wounded area, which soothed the stinging near instantly. His lips were healing magic. "How do you feel?" he asked, pulling away from my neck as his gaze met mine one more. His fingers ran up my cheek as he stared into my eyes. "Are you okay? It wasn't too painful, I hope?" I paused, becoming lost in Travis's hypnotic gaze once more. I realized my fingers were still grasping at the fabric of his jacket, but I didn't want to release my grip. I wanted to stay held onto Travis. He made me feel safe and wanted, and I didn't realize how much I craved those feelings. "I feel okay," I said in a whisper, my tongue tracing along my bottom lip. It didn't hurt as much as I thought it would. "Good. I'm really happy to hear that, Alyssa." As I took my hands from Travis, he pulled his fingers to mine as our hands entwined. "I would never want to hurt you, not intentionally." "I would never hurt you either, Travis," I said, and a new sensation began to fill me. I felt connected to Travis, stronger than I had felt before, even with Derek. Perhaps it was because he never marked me, or the fact our love was never that strong to begin with. But now, gazing into the Alpha King's eyes, I could see everything. As though I was peering into Travis's soul, he had opened himself up to me, and my heart began to flutter. My stomach danced with excitement, and I never wanted this moment to end. "That's the marking ceremony completed now," Travis said. "We're one step closer to your freedom." "What happens now? With Derek, I mean," I asked curiously, enjoying the sensation of Travis's fingertips stroking my hands. "Is that him gone?" Travis shook his head. "No, not yet." He paused and squeezed my hands lightly. "This is the hard part now. Once Derek feels your mated bond has broken, he will feel tortured. The pain will drive him to anger, and I assume he will try many methods to get you to return to him." "Oh," I said, feeling a frown furrowing on my forehead. "But what if he realizes it's over and he can now be with Haley? Perhaps he will leave me alone for good." "Quite possibly," Travis said. "But I know men like him. They want what they can't have. Even though he has Haley, he won't have you. So prepare yourself for Derek at any point from now on. We don't know what kind of mood he will be in. Someone losing something dear to them can be unpredictable with their anger. Okay, now I'm scared, I said truthfully. This was the first time in this entire process I had felt frightened so far. Travis shuffled closer to me and squeezed my hands again. His deep eyes stared further into me. Listen to me, Alyssa, he husked. I'm not going to let anything bad happen to you, okay? I will be by your side to protect you, as your mate and your king. My warriors will be watching you as well, to be sure Derek leaves you alone. You promise? I asked, a smile forming on my lips. I don't know how Travis did it, but he made me feel safer than I felt with anyone in my entire life, considering I hadn't known him that long. Travis returned my smile. He leaned in and our foreheads touched. Wrapping his little finger around mine, a gentle laugh left his lips. Pinky, swear, my love, you will always be safe with me. I won't let anyone hurt you. My heart raced, pounding in my chest while my stomach tumbled and fluttered. No, I had to ignore this feeling. It was false, and probably no doubt the effect of the mark. I couldn't fall in love with Travis. He wasn't the one for me. This was all a pretense to get us both where we needed to be. It was time to ignore my heart and listen to my head. Don't fall in love. I think we need to get you back home, Travis said. Once you're home, you need to pack a case of clothes. I'll send Charlie with the car to swing by and pick you up once you're ready. Avoid Derek as best you can, he paused. Once you're home with me, everything will be safe under my watchful eye. I nodded. Yes, Travis, I smiled, kissing his nose gently. This is the beginning of our year together, and I can't wait. Neither can I, Alyssa, Travis responded with delight in his voice. You're mine now. Derek's POV. Making love to Haley was always the most pleasurable feeling. Every time my fingers brushed against her skin, it felt like the first time I had touched her. Derek, Haley gasped, that beautiful melodic tone. You're taking all of me now, Haley, my love, I said, my words shuddering in her ear. I love you so much. I love you too, Derek, Haley responded before a blissful moan escaped from her lips. My fingers ran up her body before entwining within the tendrils of her short blonde hair. My other arm wrapped around her. I was about to explode. I could feel it. I asked, growling in her ear, I'm going to fill you up and watch it spill out. You're mine. It was then, just before I managed, I felt the intense pleasure be replaced with a mind-numbingly sharp pain. Starting in my head, as though a knife had been thrust into my skull, and then the pain shot through my entire body. Alyssa! My wolf Nova screamed in my mind. Something is wrong with Alyssa. Opening my eyes, my vision blurred as I tried to focus on Haley. I felt suddenly repulsed by her, as though I couldn't bear to touch her, or even be anywhere near her. I thrust my hand into her torso, pushing her away from me with a great force. Alyssa! My wolf panted through the pain he was also experiencing. She is being marked by another. Another wolf has claimed her as his own. No, I responded quickly, trying to push through the pain. She can't. She is ours. We own Alyssa. No one else can have her. I focused on the pain, squinting my eyes as I tried to focus on something in the room that would become clear in my vision. But all I could see and feel was the sensation of Alyssa grasping onto an unknown man, a wolf who had sunk his teeth into her. I heard her whimpers, felt her pain as the teeth pierced into my love. She is mine! I yelled out loud, knocking over the nightstand in my fury. The lamp stood on it, hurled to the ground, and smashed into pieces. Derek, Haley said, concern in her voice. She jumped to my side and wrapped her arms around me. Derek, look at me. What's wrong? Are you in pain? Get away from me, I yelled, spitting my words in her face. You foul woman, you're not mine. Alyssa is mine. I pushed my hands against Haley's body once more, forcing her away from me. I wanted her hands off me. The sense of her touch made my skin crawl. Leave me the fuck alone. I barely managed to pull on my jeans when I left the bedroom and dashed down the stairs. The searing pain in my head wouldn't stop me. I had to find Alyssa. Running out into the street, I sniffed at the air, hoping to catch the strong scent of my mate on the wind. She couldn't be far away, especially not being fully recovered from her injuries. I had to find her. She would be weak and let any wolf attack her. Now they knew what an easy target she was. Perhaps that's it, my wolf said with panic in his voice. Another wolf attacked Alyssa. She must be attracting them now. I don't care what the reason is. I responded to Nova. I want Alyssa back and whatever wolf attacked her dead. We will see to it that this wolf is punished, Nova growled. But first, we need to find Alyssa before it's too late. Carrying on further up the street, I finally caught Alyssa's scent. My feet began to run, faster than I had ever traveled before, as I followed the familiar smell of my mate. Tearing down streets, onto the next ones, my pace never slowed as I dodged people on the sidewalk and obstacles in my way. I was focused, and I could feel Nova inside me as determined as I was to find Alyssa. It was then, down a quiet street, I saw her. My beautiful mate Alyssa, instantly recognizable as I caught sight of her. I ran, after a brief pause, to catch my breath. She was walking away from me, and the closer I became, I could feel the rage build inside me. Reaching out, I grabbed the back of Alyssa's dress and heard it tear with the sheer force. I spun her around and glared intensely into her eyes. "Who is he?" I growled. "You little slut, tell me who he is." "I don't know what you're talking about, Derek," Alyssa said, panic in her eyes, and I knew she was lying. She never really was very good at it. "You're a liar," I shouted. Reaching forward again, I pulled her hair aside to expose her bare neck, the mark still fresh and sore-looking from the wolf I saw in my vision. "Who did this, trying to claim you as his own? Am I not good enough for you, Alyssa?" "This is none of your business, Derek," Alyssa responded with confidence. "Leave me alone. I don't want to talk about it right now." She studied me. "You need to go home and get dressed. You're half naked and running through the streets with no shoes on. You look like a madman." "Perhaps I am a madman, Alyssa," I said, trying to control my fury, "but that's only because you turned me to madness." Reaching forward, I grabbed Alyssa's neck and forced her to my face. Pressing my nose against the mark, I inhaled and caught the scent of the wolf immediately. "The Alpha King?" I yelled. "You let yourself be claimed by the king? Are you fucking insane?" "Not as insane as I would be staying with you, Derek," Alyssa scowled at me, her eyes full of anger. "You make me sick, you're disgusting." It all became too much, and I felt the searing pain in my head worsen. My body became hot, sweat poured down my forehead, and I could feel myself becoming dizzy. My vision blurred again, and as I fell backwards, I tried to grab Alyssa, but she pulled away from me. As I hit the ground with a crack, everything went black. Alyssa's POV. "Derek!" I yelled as I watched his body fall limp to a heap on the ground. "Derek! Can you hear me?" It was as though a switch had gone off in his brain. He seemed in so much pain it had reset his mind and caused him to pass out in front of me. Perhaps this was the best for him, to help ease Derek's mind when he woke up again. We could talk about it. I felt myself fill with panic, knowing I should go to his aid, but I was terrified of him now. He was acting irrational, and if he woke while I was by his side, there's no knowing what he would do to me. Derek had a look in his eye like he wanted to hurt me, cause me physical pain. I knew going up against a werewolf, as a human, I wouldn't stand a chance against him. "Derek?" I asked again, my words trembling. "Wake up, can you hear me?" Nearly bending down to kneel at his side, I thought twice and instead nudged him gently with my foot. No response. He was fast asleep now. Perhaps it would be safe enough for me to get close to him and check his vitals as best I could. Make sure he was still breathing. No, leave him. He could be acting. "Shit!" I said out loud. What should I do? I couldn't leave him lying here out in the cold. As cruel as Derek had been to me, I wasn't one to show such a cruel side to leave him out on the street. Pulling out my phone, I dialed the Dark Heart Pack doctor, a medical professional who would make sure Derek was safe. "Doctor," I said with relief as he picked up the phone. "It's Alyssa Richardson. Derek has collapsed outside of the pack house and he needs medical care." I paused to listen to the doctor try to reassure me he would be there within a minute. "Thank you, doctor. Please hurry, he doesn't look in a good way." I ended the call. Taking one last look at Derek, I knew I had to use this opportunity to head back into the house as quickly as I could to pack my case so I could go to Travis's home. I knew I would be safe with him. I dashed toward the Dark Heart Pack house and straight up the staircase to my room. I focused on my moves as soon as I got inside the bedroom. I would pull the case from under the bed and push any clothes I could find inside. I didn't care what I wore. Clothes were easy to buy if I needed more. I just wanted out of that house and away from Derek Charlton. The way Derek had acted had filled me with so much fear. It was as though he had shown me his true colors. I had never felt terrified of Derek before, not even when he first changed into his wolf form in front of me. This was different. He had shown such fury in his eyes, as though he wouldn't hesitate to hurt me, given the opportunity. As I reached my room, I did as I planned. I noticed the unmade bed, clothes strewn over the floor, women's underwear that didn't belong to me, and I felt my stomach turn. Derek and Haley had been in here, no doubt minutes before he left the house while they made love. I couldn't focus on that right now. The matter in hand was my priority. I needed to get out of that house for good. The case was pulled out from under the bed, and I grabbed handfuls of clothes from the wardrobe and piled them inside. As I zipped up the luggage, I pulled my phone out once more and dialed to talk to Travis. "Hey, Alyssa, you ready?" Travis asked, and his gentle, familiar voice felt so comforting I wanted to cry, but I managed to hold back my emotion. "Yes," I said, my voice shaky. "Please hurry up, Travis, I'm scared." "Alyssa?" Travis asked with concern in his voice. "Honey, you don't sound good. What's wrong?" "Just hurry," I said. "Please." I ended the call and made sure I had everything important packed into a smaller bag. Phone, money, passport. I didn't know how far I would need to get away from Derek now. Dashing down the stairs, I headed out to the front of the house to await Charlie coming to pick me up in the car. I knew he wouldn't be long. When he put his foot down, he was there in no time. My eyes shifted to the spot where Derek had fallen. He was no longer there. I began to panic, and I felt my heart race in my chest. "Calm down, Alyssa," I told myself quietly. The doctor had already probably taken him away to safety. As I managed to calm myself down slightly, I felt hands on me from behind. Fingers tugged at my hair, pulling me backwards. "You lying bitch!" Derek screamed, and as my eyes met his, I could see the fury once more. "Why can't you love me? I've given you everything." I mustered up as much strength as I could. Luckily, Derek seemed weak in this state, so I managed to pull my hair from his grip. "Leave me alone, Derek. You need help. The doctor is coming to see to you." "I don't need help," Derek grunted. "I don't need anyone. No one can help me." He paused, his chest heaving with his quick breath. His eyes searing into me, filled with burning rage. "You hurt me, Alyssa, and now it's my turn to hurt you in return." Derek swiped for me, but I managed to dodge his movements. My heart raced, beating in my throat at a rapid rate, and I felt the fear fill me. Derek wanted to hurt me, and I feared he would get there before Charlie arrived. "Derek, you need to calm down." I paused, trying to remain unfazed, which was proving difficult. "Let's talk about this when you're feeling better. Right now you need." My words were stopped by Derek launching at me, his hands reaching out as he slapped my cheek. The sting on the face pulsed from the pain. "You betrayed me, Alyssa," he husked through his struggling breaths. "Now you need to pay for deceiving your mate."